All right, take 76 probably, who knows? I'll count it later. But first and foremost, what's up guys? I'm Anthony. I just wanted to appropriately introduce myself just because ideally this video is going to reach much further than my immediate friends and my immediate family who will more than likely see this first. I just wanted to appropriately introduce myself, but also just give you a heads up. The spoken word aspect of things is definitely not my strength. So forgive me if I say 3,000 times, and I'm definitely going to talk with my hands. But honestly, I just wanted to go over a few things, and the biggest thing about me obviously knowing my weakness about speaking is the things that I'm going to go over in this video really need me to be the one speaking, just because obviously they're my thoughts, my perspectives, my beliefs. And for the most part, if I were to get anyone else to do it, it just wouldn't come across the right way. So I would be doing myself and you guys a disservice if I didn't do it myself. So just bear with me. But the biggest thing that I've always wanted to do and have always thought would be the coolest thing in the entire world would be to publish a bit of work with my name on the cover. I read entirely too many books on a regular basis to have that thought not cross my mind on a regular basis. I never really gave it much thought just because I didn't know what I would write about or if anyone would even read it. But after a bit of consideration and a bit of nudging from a couple close friends of mine, I finally decided to start a blog, which honestly is the easiest way to go about things. It's free. I think I paid like 20 bucks for my website just so I could have somewhere to post them. But other than that, it was free and I didn't really have to sign up for anything or do much hard work. All I had to do was copy and paste things that I wrote on the notes section of my iPhone. So it honestly is that simple sometimes. So once I got that started, I started posting it on my social media, and to my pleasant surprise, people enjoyed it. People look forward to reading the next one. I've been stopped numerous times, whether I'm at the gym, whether I'm at my job, or honestly, if people just DM me on social media afterwards, like after reading them. The biggest surprise is usually people who at least, whether they agree with me or not, or the fact that, dare I say, the more fun ones or the more memorable ones are the ones where they completely disagree with me, disagree with the way I think about things or the way I process or the tone that I use. I think those are more memorable just because, one, it's very easy to solidify your beliefs. It's not so easy to keep your mind open and get your perspective changed a little bit. There's always new information. There's always more than one perspective. So that was always fun. But once I got in a routine of doing that, the nudging to write a book became more and more obvious to myself. So here we are. This is kind of what this video is about. So I will go over a few things in my book, and hopefully I won't take too much of your time, but this is definitely going to be a lengthy next few portions of it, I guess. But a lot of what my book goes over is perspective. Obviously, the perspective I can be an expert in is my own. So I use a lot of sort of goofy stories from my childhood to kind of explain where I'm coming from in the way I lead, the way I live life, the way I believe things, and the way I see things. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's really it's not really up for, I guess. It just depends on how you see it. I do my best to try and offer just perspective just so people can think. It's very important, and just probably the biggest lesson that a lot of people need to work on, I guess, in my opinion, without ruffling too many feathers, is just, seeing things from a different perspective. So that's a lot of what my book goes over. Throughout the book, there are certain things that I say and encourage people to do that may come off the wrong way if not given the correct consideration. So that being said, the struggle that we have just as a human population is the inability to remove ourselves and our emotions from certain situations to kind of bring in the facts altogether and just kind of more or less just take it at face value, no matter what it may be. Especially with the last 2 years, it's become even more apparent than usual. things like COVID, the unfortunate murder of George Floyd, the religious people versus non-religious people, just kind of fighting to have the last word, people trying to decide whether there should be mask and vaccine mandates or not. Basically the emotions are running just rampant, and the past couple of years have been rather blatant evidence of that. I believe the most obvious or the worst part of that is the fact that our politicians and our news outlets, whichever news channel that you watch, continue to use that to try and fuel hate and just divide us and make sure that basically you just put down people for being not like you, and that is just, I don't do things like that. I don't agree with people who do that, even before the last couple of years. So that is ideally where I encourage people to go with my book. But there's more to it than that. These are just kind of recent examples that I bring up. The biggest thing is each of us have an individual purpose that God has placed on us on earth to accomplish. Although the end goal of every Christian is the same, obviously make Jesus' name famous above all names. Basically the talents and the expertise that we all have, it's all different for everyone. So the biggest thing that I encourage people to do is just kind of find yours. Going back to all the hate and the division that's going around, most people are uncomfortable being different. They are more likely to succumb to basically whatever feels comfortable, whether it's them or not. And that's just, I can see it pretty clearly. When I do see it, I am tempted to just point it out, but it's a slippery slope, depending on who you talk to, what the situation is. A lot of these insufficiencies that people have, or people think that they have, or think that others have, basically are just distractions. These things put emotional, verbal, and physical roadblocks in our path to try and slow us down and stop us completely even. Excuse me. The only person who is 100% responsible for your life and what you make of it is you. Blaming anyone but yourself and your lack of ability to circumnavigate the distractions and the potholes of life is solely on you. There's no one else there's just no one else responsible for it. There's no one else to blame but yourself. But I know for a fact there are hidden talents and ambitions in every single one of us that aren't ever unearthed or grown because of the F word. That F word being fear. Hopefully I got a laughter out of that one. But basically the premise of my book, I basically do my best to encourage people to be the best version of themselves, the truest versions of themselves, no matter what it means or consists of. Most importantly, paired with that is to always be growing. No one perfect, including myself, is ever going to be perfect. There was only one perfect man to walk this earth, but we're always ideally headed in that direction of perfectionism. But basically, we just want to make sure that we are using the correct tools at our fingertips to make sure that we become the truest, best version of ourselves. Simply because America specifically is in dire need of more love and more empathy these days. The people around you, your job, your overall life, the quality of life, what goes on around you, they need what you have, whether you think so or not. So basically that is the overall premise of what I try to at least introduce in my book. But the shirt I'm wearing comes in two colors, red and purple. Red's my favorite color, but I've worn that multiple times already, so I just figured I'd throw the purple one on. It also looks better in the light. But basically what these will be is just essentially a daily reminder of just to encourage you to be yourself and be the best version of yourself. And the bottom line says they'll adjust. Honestly, that just means that if the people that are around you don't like the truest version of yourself, ideally that being a good version of yourself and not necessarily like you being lazy or not meeting certain expectations as just a basic human, Ideally, people will just adjust accordingly, whether that means that they get used to the new version of you that is continuously trying to grow into a better version, or they will remove themselves. Those can often be uncomfortable conversations and often be very long-term, like wounds. Is that the right way to say it? Honestly, basically it just means that the right people won't mind. To steal a Dr. Seuss quote, that's honestly where this came from, is the people who matter won't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. Obviously it's an elementary school way of saying things, but it hits home whether you're 16 or 65. It really doesn't matter. Basically, that is what I want this to do. That is the title of the book, is Just Be You, They Will Adjust. And if those people can't adjust accordingly, or at least encourage you and clap while you continue to grow, honestly, those people don't belong in your life. They don't deserve you, and you need to do your best to distance yourselves from them and honestly find new friends and just continue on a positive path. Like I said, ideally, we don't want to just become lazy, become comfortable all the time. Obviously, the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable on a consistent basis. But basically, that is the overall premise of what my book is about, and that's what these shirts say. But honestly, the profits of this shirt will go to help me publish my book. Publishing books is more than cheap. I guess I would say it's a bit expensive even if you go through Amazon, but for the most part, I just want to make sure that I have the ability to do it, as well as publish more in the future. So these shirts are now available on my website. Link will be below, or wherever I figure out putting it at this point. But I appreciate your time. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, because I've stopped and started 19 times, but thank you for your support, and see you on the other side.